Ladies and gentlemen, music lovers and fellow free spirits, welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the lives of legends. Today we're unearthing the raw, untamed, and utterly unforgettable spirit of a woman who didn't just sing the blues, she lived them. Described by the incredible Melissa Etheridge as the only goddess among a sea of rock gods, she carved her own path in the psychedelic revolutionary landscape of 1960s rock and roll, forever changing the game with a voice that could tear through your soul and heal it all at once. We're talking, of course, about the one and only Janis Lyn Joplin. Born on January 19, 1943, in the rather conventional town of Port Arthur, Texas, Janis's early life was anything but. She was a square peg in a round hole, a vibrant, artistic soul in a world that didn't quite know what to do with her. Picture this: a young Janis strolling barefoot, auto harp in hand, through the hallowed halls of the University of Texas at Austin. She briefly attended Lamar State College of Technology in UT Austin, but the academic life just couldn't contain her burgeoning spirit. A newspaper article from her university days, tellingly titled "She Dares to Be Different," highlighted her unconventional nature, a stark contrast to the societal norms of the 1950s Texas. She wasn't one to shy away from her unique style, often seen performing with a group called the Walter Creek Boys. This early embrace of her authentic self, even in the face of a conservative environment, was a precursor to the fearless icon she would become. Her very presence challenged the quiet conformity expected of young women in that era, a foreshadowing of the profound cultural shifts she would later embody. But beneath the burgeoning artistry and free-spirited demeanor lay a painful truth. Janis was often a target of ridicule and bullying during her youth. With her curly hair, acne-scarred skin, and a physique that didn't fit the slender ideal, she was an easy mark. And in segregated 1950s Texas, her willingness to socialize with black people only amplified the ostracism. They called her freak or pig. Imagine the resilience it took to internalize those cruel words and still declare, as Janis famously did, "I was an outcast. I read books, I painted, I thought. I didn't hate Inez." This profound statement reveals the depth of her character and her unwavering commitment to authenticity, even in the face of adversity. It speaks volumes about her innate sense of justice and her refusal to partake in the systemic prejudice of her time. The cruelty reached its peak in 1967, when a group of male students at the University of Texas successfully orchestrated a campaign to crown her the ugliest man on campus. Let that sink in for a moment. This deeply humiliating act, a public shaming designed to break her spirit, could have crushed anyone. Yet, through it all, Janis held on to her core. She continued to pursue her passions, demonstrating an inner strength that belied the outward vulnerability she often displayed. This period of her life, marked by social alienation and unkindness, undoubtedly fueled the raw emotional intensity that would later define her music, transforming personal pain into universal artistry. Despite the public perception, Janis held a deep love for her family. She'd often write letters home to her parents while living in San Francisco, sharing glimpses of her life. While her parents were loving and supportive, though they understandably didn't approve of her drug use, Janis carried the weight of feeling like a disappointment to them. This internal conflict, this yearning for acceptance, coupled with her fierce independence, would become a recurring theme in her life and music. It's a poignant reminder that even the most outwardly rebellious spirits can harbor deep-seated needs for familial approval and understanding. Her parents, especially her mother Dorothy, were often baffled by Janis's choices and lifestyle, particularly her immersion in the counterculture of San Francisco. Yet, their underlying love was always present, even if their comprehension wasn't. This complex dynamic contributed to the emotional landscape that Janis explored so fearlessly in her songs. Before the dazzling lights of fame found her, Janis was already making a name for herself in the San Francisco scene, though not always for the reasons you might expect. She was known for her heavy use of speed and heroin, and her constant companion, a bottle of Southern Comfort whiskey, her favorite kind. The Haight-Ashbury district, a hotbed of counterculture and experimentation, offered both freedom and peril. Janis, with her magnetic personality and voracious appetite for life, dove headfirst into this world. By 1965, her health deteriorated to a point where her friends feared the worst, describing her as skin and bones. The toll of her addiction was starkly visible, a testament to the dangerous allure of the scene. In a testament to their love and concern, they held a bus fare party raising money to send her back to Texas to recover. This intervention, a desperate act of friendship, highlights the depth of the bond she formed and the concern her friends had for her well-being. And recover she did for a time. Upon returning to Texas in 1965, she bravely abstained from drugs and alcohol, even enrolling in anthropology at Lamar University. This period of sobriety and academic pursuit shows a different side of Janis, one capable of discipline and a desire for stability, even if temporary. The music, however, was in her blood, and she continued to sing and play guitar in Austin, the call of the stage and the raw expression of her soul too strong to ignore. This return to music, even in a more subdued setting, confirmed her destiny. Love, too, found its way into Janis's tumultuous life. She was briefly engaged to Peter DeBlanc, whom she met in San Francisco, but the engagement was called off. Janis, ever the trailblazer, later expressed a profound disinterest in the conventional path of becoming merely a secretary or a wife, unlike many women she knew. This rebellious streak, this refusal to conform to societal expectations, was a cornerstone of her identity. She saw beyond the limited roles often prescribed to women of her generation, craving a life of purpose and profound self-expression that went far beyond domesticity. Her desire for deep, meaningful connections was evident, but her independence always remained paramount. She sought partners who could meet her on her own terms, a challenging feat for anyone, let alone a woman of her boundless energy and uninhibited spirit. Her personal relationships, often intense and fleeting, mirrored the very nature of her life, passionate, unpredictable, and always lived on her own terms. And then the music happened. Her longtime friend, Chet Helms, a pivotal figure in the San Francisco music scene and a key organizer of the burgeoning counterculture, played a pivotal role, helping her audition for a band that would rocket her to stardom, Big Brother and the Holding Company. It was a perfect storm of talent and timing. Their raw, blues-infused rock combined with Janis's electrifying stage presence and a voice that was unlike anything heard before, immediately captivated audiences. Their debut album, Cheap Thrills, became an instant classic, featuring Janis's iconic interpretations of Irma Franklin's Piece of My Heart and George Gershwin's Summertime. These songs, originally blues and jazz standards, were completely reimagined through Janis's lens, infused with a visceral energy that made them uniquely her own. Her raw, guttural screams, often mistaken for impromptu bursts of emotion, were actually meticulously practiced, a testament to her dedication and vocal prowess. This meticulous attention to her craft, even within the chaotic energy of her performances, highlights her commitment to artistic excellence. She wasn't just performing, she was channeling, pouring every ounce of her being into each note, each wail, each moment on stage. This combination of raw talent, disciplined technique, and an almost spiritual connection to the music set her apart. The summer of 1969 saw Janis take the stage at the legendary Woodstock Music Festival, a defining moment of the counterculture era. Her performance there, an unbridled outpouring of energy, is etched into the annals of rock history. Yet, ever the perfectionist, she was reportedly unhappy with her performance and refused to allow it to be included in the Woodstock documentary. This surprising self-critique underscores her incredibly high standards and her desire for every performance to be a flawless expression of her art. It's a fascinating insight into the mind of a true artist, always striving for more, even when the world was hailing her as a phenomenon. Her only solo performance in the UK was a show at the Royal Albert Hall, a testament to her growing international fame and the global reach of her unique sound. She was a force that transcended borders, her message of freedom and raw emotion resonating with audiences worldwide. Producer John Simon insightfully recognized that part of Janis's immense appeal stemmed from her unconventional beauty. In a world of supermodel-esque stars, Janis, with her unpolished authenticity, became a pioneer for women who didn't fit the mold, resonating deeply with the burgeoning feminist movement. She wasn't just a singer, she was a symbol of raw, unapologetic womanhood. Her refusal to conform to traditional beauty standards, her embrace of her own unique style, made her incredibly relatable and empowering to countless women who felt unseen or unrepresented. She embodied a new kind of female power, not one based on delicate beauty, but on strength, vulnerability, and an unshakable sense of self. This made her an unintentional yet powerful icon of feminist expression, long before the movement gained mainstream traction. Janis's defiance wasn't limited to her music or appearance. In 1969, during a performance in Tampa, she famously cursed out police officers who asked her to help calm the crowd. She was arrested but later acquitted, with the judge ruling that she was exercising her freedom of speech. This incident perfectly encapsulates her fiery spirit and refusal to be silenced, her unwavering commitment to standing up for what she believed in, even in the face of authority. It's a vivid illustration of her confrontational yet principled nature, a woman who would not be tamed or told what to do. This kind of bold defiance only further endeared her to her fans, who saw in her a reflection of their own desires for liberation and authenticity. She was also a massive admirer of the iconic Tina Turner. These two powerhouses even performed together at Madison Square Garden in 1969, a meeting of musical titans that must have been electrifying. Imagine the combined energy of those two women on one stage. Janis never shied away from acknowledging her inspirations, particularly the legendary blues singer Bessie Smith. Smith, often referred to as the Empress of the Blues, was a profound influence on Janis's vocal style and her approach to emotional expression. When Janis discovered that Smith was buried in an unmarked grave, she and Juanita Green selflessly split the cost of purchasing a headstone for her idol, a powerful act of reverence and solidarity. This gesture speaks volumes about Janis's humility, her deep respect for those who came before her, and her commitment to honoring their legacies. It was a tangible way for her to connect with the blues tradition that flowed so deeply within her own artistic veins. At the height of her fame, Southern comfort became synonymous with Janis Joplin. She'd often bring a bottle of the whiskey on stage, making it an unofficial prop in her electrifying performances. The image of Janis, wild-haired and belting out a bluesy wail, with a bottle of Southern Comfort by her side, is an iconic one. It became part of her rebellious mystique, a symbol of her no-holds-barred approach to life. In a gesture of appreciation for the free publicity, Southern Comfort even gifted her a fur coat, a small token for the immense unpaid endorsement she provided. Beyond the whiskey, Janis also had a fondness for patchouli oil, the quintessential hippie perfume, further cementing her image as a free-spirited icon of the era. These seemingly small details added layers to her persona, painting a picture of a woman who was both larger than life and deeply rooted in the counterculture she helped define. According to the biography Piece of My Heart, a portrait of Janis Joplin, her purse was a treasure trove of eclectic items: movie tickets, cigarettes, hotel keys, makeup, an address book, business cards, Johnny Cash and Otis Redding cassette tapes, chewing gum, sunglasses, credit cards, aspirin, and even 2 thick books. It paints a picture of a woman constantly on the go, carrying the essentials for a life lived fully and without reservation. This seemingly mundane detail offers a fascinating glimpse into her everyday reality, a whirlwind of travel, performance, and personal pursuits. It highlights her intellectual curiosity, her love for music beyond her own, and the constant movement that defined her existence. Her vibrant, hand-painted Porsche 356, a true work of art on wheels, sold for an astonishing $1.76 million in 2015, setting a new record for a Porsche 356 at auction. This iconic car, as colorful and unique as Janis herself, serves as a lasting symbol of her individuality and her flair for the dramatic. And in a poignant twist of fate, the very last thing Janis ever recorded was a birthday song for another rock legend, John Lennon, just days before her death. It's a haunting echo of a talent that was still creating, still giving, right up until the very end. Janis's personal life was as complex and uninhibited as her music. She had relationships with both men and women, with her close friend and former girlfriend Peggy Caserta confirming her bisexuality, her openness about her sexuality, even in a time when it was far less accepted, further solidified her image as a trailblazer who refused to be constrained by societal norms. Her love interest often mirrored the intensity of her life. David Nyhouse, an ex-boyfriend she met in Brazil, sent her a love telegram that, heartbreakingly, never reached her. Janis passed away before she could read it. This tragic irony, a final message of love arriving too late, adds another layer of sorrow to her story. Then came the chilling, somber reality that would forever link Janis to a tragic pantheon of musical legends. She became a member of the infamous 27 Club, a group of artists, predominantly musicians, who met untimely deaths at the age of 27. On October 4th, 1970, Janis Joplin died from a heroin overdose. The eerie coincidence is almost unbearable. Her death came just weeks after Jimi Hendrix also succumbed to a drug overdose at 27, and less than a year later, Jim Morrison of The Doors would also be found dead at 27. It's a haunting testament to the pressures and excesses of that era and the devastating toll they took on brilliant young artists. The counterculture, with its emphasis on breaking down boundaries and experimenting, also harbored a dark side, and too many bright lights were extinguished too soon. Janis, with her raw vulnerability and her tendency to live life at full throttle, was particularly susceptible to its perils. In true Janis fashion, she didn't want a grand, somber funeral. Instead, her will stipulated that money be set aside for a post-mortem party, a raucous celebration where everyone could get as drunk as humanly possible, with Southern comfort flowing freely. This final act of rebellion, a desire for joy and revelry even after death, perfectly encapsulates her free-spirited nature. It was a farewell on her own terms, a final defiant laugh in the face of convention. Only 3 people attended her actual funeral, her parents and aunt, before her ashes were scattered into the Pacific Ocean off Stinson Beach, a final act of liberation for a soul that could never be contained. The vastness of the ocean, the freedom of the open air, a fitting resting place for a woman who lived without limits. Janis also bore 2 tattoos, symbols of her rebellious spirit and personal philosophy, a woman's liberation symbol on her wrist and a heart on her left breast. She famously said of her ink, "I wanted to have some decoration. The one on my wrist is for everybody. The one on my breast is for me and my friends." It was all about owning her body, her choices, her life, and making a statement about her beliefs. These tattoos were not just decorative, they were declarations, etched onto her skin, reflecting her identity and her commitment to personal freedom and the burgeoning feminist movement. Her relationships with other prominent figures of the time were equally legendary. She had a one-night stand with folk singer Leonard Cohen, who later wrote the song Chelsea Hotel No. 2 about her. Cohen, with a touch of regret, later expressed that he felt it was indiscreet to associate Joplin with the song, though he believed she wouldn't have minded. This anecdote speaks to the powerful, yet often complicated connections Janis forged with other artists. She was also romantically linked to several other rockers, including Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison. The story goes that Jim Morrison persistently bothered Janis for a date until she finally hit him over the head with a Southern Comfort bottle, knocking him unconscious. Yet, even after that bruising encounter, Morrison reportedly exclaimed, "What a woman! She's amazing!" Such was the captivating, untamed spirit of Janis Joplin that even a blow to the head couldn't diminish her allure. These interactions, filled with passion and volatility, further illustrate the wild and unconventional world she inhabited. Janis's legacy, though tragically cut short, has only grown stronger with time. Her album Pearl, completed before her death in October 1970 but released posthumously, became her best-selling album and featured her first #1 single, Me and Bobby McGee. She never knew the profound impact she would have on the world, never witnessed the enduring love for her music. Incredibly, for every decade since her passing, right up to the 1990s, her album sales continued to increase, a testament to the timeless quality of her artistry and the unwavering devotion of her fans. Her influence is undeniable. In 2013, Janis was rightfully honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a permanent tribute to her iconic status. In 1995, 25 years after her death, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a long overdue recognition of her pioneering spirit and her immense contribution to music. She paved the way for countless female artists, inspiring the likes of Florence Welch of Florence and the Machine, the ethereal Stevie Nicks of Fleetwood Mac, and the pop powerhouse Pink. Her raw vulnerability, her incredible vocal range, and her defiant authenticity provided a blueprint for future generations of women in rock and beyond. While many biographical films about Janis have been rumored over the years, none have fully materialized, though, as of 2017, Michelle Williams was reportedly slated to portray the singer in a biopic. The demand for her story remains as strong as ever, a testament to the enduring fascination with her life and her art. In 2013, NPR crowned Janis Joplin the Queen of Rock and included her in their list of 50 great voices, an indisputable testament to her vocal prowess and lasting impact. And as of 2013, she remained one of the highest-selling female artists in the United States, with the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA, certifying sales of 18.5 million albums. These numbers are not just statistics. They represent millions of lives touched, millions of hearts moved by the power of her voice and the raw honesty of her songs. Janis Joplin was more than just a singer. She was a force of nature, a raw nerve ending of emotion translated into song. She dared to be different in a world that craved conformity. She embraced her imperfections, wore her heart on her sleeve, and sang with a ferocity that shook the foundations of rock and roll. Her voice, husky and soulful, was a conduit for pain, joy, rebellion, and every raw human emotion in between. She lived fast, loved hard, and left an indelible mark on the landscape of music that continues to resonate today. Her legacy isn't just in the records she sold or the awards she received, but in the countless artists she inspired, the boundaries she shattered, and the souls she touched with her uniquely powerful, utterly unforgettable sound. She remains a beacon for anyone who has ever felt like an outsider, a testament to the power of authenticity, and a reminder that true art comes from the deepest, most vulnerable parts of ourselves. Her spirit lives on in every bluesy wail, every defiant lyric, and every heart that understands the true meaning of a piece of my heart.